Chris, welcome to the show.
Hi Brad, thanks for having me.
How would you explain hypnotherapy to someone who has never heard of it?
Okay, it's a type of therapy that uses hypnosis to change the way a person thinks, feels and acts about their everyday life. As well as that, through using hypnosis, it's got an ability to allow the brain to process thoughts, feelings and emotions that are built up over time. Through processing thoughts, feelings and emotions, and through changing behaviours, we can reduce anxiety levels and make behavioural change how someone thinks, feels and acts moving forward on the long term.
Okay.
So things that would used to bother them don't bother them anymore. They just cope with things in life far better.
Okay, so we spoke on the phone before I came up here, and one of the things that you mentioned was you literally use hypnosis, which makes sense why it's called hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
But for some reason, I didn't quite connect those dots together when I first heard about hypnotherapy.
Yeah.
I've always thought of hypnosis as like someone holding a watch in front of someone.
And I did 10 years ago before I started doing this.
Yeah. What does hypnosis look like?
Hypnosis is a dreamlike state. For example, it's a dreamlike state that's activated by my client through going to such a deep state of relaxation. They're so relaxed that they drift off, as I say, into that REM state. And through being in that REM state, the subconscious mind opens up. And when the subconscious mind opens up, this is the part of the brain where we can make positive, subtle change to how they think, feel and act.
Okay. And you talk them into that state?
Yeah, so it's like a progressive sort of relaxation, if you like.
Okay.
But hypnosis is just a small part of the therapy that I do. I'm actually a solution-focused brief therapist. So hypnosis is the vehicle in which my therapy is delivered. My therapy is all about identifying the positive aspects, what's working with the life, what they want to improve on, and the solutions of how to get there. It's also about allowing the clients to have a vast understanding of how the brain works and in relation to what they're suffering with, what they're experiencing. And the hypnosis part of it just delivers all that. But we use a degree of psychotherapy as well. So we get the client to visualise an area or aspects of their life that they want to improve, and we use the hypnosis to deliver that.
And is that a specific technique for a specific area, or can you use these techniques more broadly over many areas?
It can be used in any area whatsoever.
Okay.
So, as we call it in my therapy, the first few sessions with a client are bucket emptying. They're getting the client to process stuff that's built up over a period of time. Because negative thinking in our lives leads to anxiety. Because negative thoughts get built up, accumulated and stored in the brain. And we say the brain's like a bucket, so we say it fills a stress bucket up. And when someone's thinking negatively all the time, the brain, like you can imagine the bucket fills up quite quickly and overflows. Well, that's the same with the brain, it becomes overwhelmed. And when the brain becomes overwhelmed, people struggle to process properly. And that's when anxiety levels can go up and they can actually lose intellectual control and start operating a part of the brain that's more akin to fight or flight than living.
Yeah. When I was, how old was I? 17, something like that. I did some kind of therapy. I don't know exactly what it was. But it was essentially just a lot of stuff had happened.
Yeah.
And I started to get a bit overwhelmed with everything. And it's interesting what you were saying there about the emptying of the bucket.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of my experience. Very limited experience. I didn't do a whole lot of it. But that was very akin to what my experience was like, because I just felt so overwhelmed and I didn't know how to cope with everything that was happening.
Yeah.
And literally just talking to a third party that wasn't involved in my life directly helped me.
Yes.
And it felt like a big weight off my shoulder at the end of each session. It was like 45 minutes, Is that similar to hypnotherapy, or is that different?
Completely different.
Okay.
So a therapy that you've explained to me is likely to be a conscious therapy. We talk on a conscious level to a therapist. This therapy goes a layer below that. It goes down to the subconscious mind. So the subconscious mind, just to put it in perspective, is about 95% of our brain's sort of power and strength, if you like, where all solutions come from. The subconscious mind is the autopilot part of the brain. It's the part of the brain that sort of regulates our breathing, our heart rate without having to think about it. If you get in your car now and you drive off, you just do it on autopilot, don't you? like the flow state. So that's the part of the brain that we access as hypnotherapists.
Okay.
However, the therapy that I do is a therapy in its own right. It's all about concentrating on the future and solutions and getting my clients to the best place they can be in their lives. And we do that through using different tools to do with psychotherapy, getting to visualize, getting to scale how they want to improve their lives. And we use the hypnosis to deliver it. So the therapy basically, it doesn't go into the past whatsoever. It's all about the future. It's all about positivity and getting them where they need to get to. And I guess that's why a lot of clients like it, because they'll float out of here because it's a very nice experience. Yeah. And not only that, they're empowered because they know how the brain works as well in relation to what they're experiencing, what they're suffering with.
Do you think everyone should do some form of therapy?
Everyone should do solution-focused hypnotherapy because it's concentrates on solutions, and absolutely they should do a therapy. But I think I'm an advocate for solution-focused hypnotherapy because I've tried every single therapy going, and this is the most powerful therapy going. It's a therapy that will get you from A to B quite quickly. It's a brief intervention. However, a big part of it is the brain's ability to get processing again. Because when people become overwhelmed, it's because the brain stops processing thoughts, feelings and emotions effectively through sleep. So a lot of people with brain-related issues have sleep-related issues because they're not accessing that REM state properly. So through accessing that REM state, through being on the couch and doing the hypnotherapy sessions with me, with trance sessions, and listening to a track that I give them at night in between sessions, they can get where they need to get to. So just to clarify, hypnosis is a form of dreaming. It's activating that REM state. A bit of a stat for you. If you're on that couch for half an hour in trance with me, it equates to about roughly 4 hours deep REM sleep.
Wow.
Which is very, very powerful. When you think about it, the REM state is set at about 20% of our sleep pattern. So 20% of 8 hours, I'm not very good at maths, but that's just under 2 hours, isn't it? It's about an hour and 40. So you can imagine you're getting double that in half an hour session just with me. So you can imagine if the brain is sort of not processing properly, how much that sort of gets things going again.
That seems like a bit of a cheat code.
It is.
Yeah.
It is a cheat code. Absolutely. And that's why I work with a lot of athletes, and that's why I work with elite level performing athletes in different sports. It's because it is a cheat code.
Yeah, I was literally watching a video last night on the importance of sleep, and in particular REM sleep. So if you can get someone in half an hour, how long did you say it's an equivalent to?
Yeah, so it's half an hour on the couch in deep REM, on the couch in trance, equates to about 4 hours deep REM sleep.
Which is like over half a night's sleep for a lot of people.
It's more than that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's more than that. It's like 2 nights sleep, really.
Oh, yeah, because of the
20%
REM
rule.
state.
Yeah, because it's restricted to about 20%. Our brain's only got a certain capacity to process. And when our brain was formed many millions of years ago, it doesn't understand what modern day life is. And that's the real problem. So it is a cheat code, really.
That's blown my mind.
So not only are we processing things and getting the brain working properly, we're making behavioural changes at the same time. We're getting the person through their own subconscious mind to come up with solutions in their own life to how to achieve things that they want to achieve.
Wow.
So it's very potent, it's very powerful.
Yeah, and especially as you mentioned, working with athletes, one of the things that they have to focus on so much is their sleep as well. And if you can be solving these, like some kind of mental blockage at the same time,
it's a body and mind therapy. A lot of people mistake it as you say, the watch and stuff like that, and but it's a body and mind therapy. So the biggest part of, say, working with a UFC athlete is the recovery side of it. They can sleep properly, they can recover properly, they can process properly, because the REM state is there for sort of learning, really, isn't it? And energizing, and this therapy allows them to hack into that effectively. Because that's when we learn, is at night, when we sleep, when we dream. So I get clients that say to me, I never dream. Well, I'll say, well, you sat in front of me now, so you must dream. Because if you didn't dream, you wouldn't sleep. If you didn't sleep, you'd die.
Right, yeah. So you must...
A sign of not being able to remember your dreams is a sign of anxiety, really, because You think about it, the caveman many millions of years ago would have to be in that state of vigilance all the time. They won't be able to switch off. They'd have to be in that state of vigilance. And this part of the brain, the primitive side of the brain, the fight or flight part of the brain, if we're in that stress response, we're in it all the time. We can't switch off. And that's why people overthink. That's why people are highly anxious. That's why people suffer with mental blocks. It's because their brain's overwhelmed, their anxiety levels are really high, and they're stuck in a vicious cycle, really, because they can't process properly because the brain's overdoing the REM state. And that leads, basically, it just compounds the problem and gets even worse.
Yeah, sleep is something that I've always struggled with. Like, for example, last night, I knew I had to be up at 4:30 this morning. And I didn't get to sleep until it was definitely gone 12 o'clock, because I remember looking at the clock at a certain point. So I'm probably today...
You're subconsciously telling yourself, aren't you?
Yeah.
Because you've got to be careful, you see, because, I mean, a good habit of a champion is to always talk positive themselves, because that subconscious mind's listening to everything you tell it, whether you want to or not. So as an athlete, you've got to be really, really careful what you say to yourself. Everyone has to do that, because if someone does think negatively or have negative self-talk, it is going to cause anxiety, because it's just going to build up that bucket, if you like, and it's going to trigger that primitive side of the brain, because the subconscious mind will just react to whatever it's being told.
You mentioned about you give your clients a track to play at night.
Yeah, I give them a hypnotic sleep track. It's about 22 minutes long, and it just helps them go into a relaxed state, which allows them to dream. And because you can only basically dream when you go into a nice relaxed state through deep sleep, and they can access that REM state properly. So within the first couple of weeks of seeing a client, what they often say is that they are dreaming, starting to remember dreams. Some of my clients haven't remembered dreams in 20 to 30 years, and they'll come and see me within a couple of weeks, they'll start dreaming again.
And is that a key sign that you're getting good sleep?
100%. Right. Because if you can't remember your dreams, it's generally because you're quite anxious in that state of vigilance.
Okay, yeah, that's really, because I knew nothing about hypnotherapy. I tried doing a little bit of research, but it's an aspect that I wouldn't have even considered. Is the whole sleeping side of it. You hear the word therapy and you think of a person who's maybe struggling with depression or something like that, but you don't naturally link it to sleep, and it seems like it's such an important factor of what you do.
Sleep's 80% of what I do. 80% of it. And as I say, it's allowing people to start processing again what's built up over time. We never relive stuff, and it's not the type of therapy where we go over problems. My therapy is all about solutions and getting to where we need to get to. But to get to where we need to get to, the first hurdle is to process what's built up in the first place, to bring their anxiety levels down and take them out of that fight or flight, that stress response part of the brain.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to move it towards, for anyone who doesn't know, you work with Tom Aspinall.
Yes.
You don't have to go into specifics, obviously, with like confidentiality and all of that, but what does that work look like? Because when I initially heard about, I think I saw a clip of him speaking about it on the Diary of a CEO. And I was like, oh, it's surprising in a way. You wouldn't expect the heavyweight champion of the world to be doing some kind of therapy. It's not the two things that you would link together. So can you talk a little bit about the work that you do with him?
Yeah, of course. The work I do with Tom is pretty much the work I'll do with a 6-year-old kid. I'll do with a 40-year-old mum or an 80-year-old grandmother. It's all bucket emptying. It's all ensuring that his brain is processing thoughts, feelings and emotions properly. His anxiety levels are really low, and he's coping and dealing with things in his life in a very positive way. Because if he goes into contest or into camp and his brain is overwhelmed, well, his body's not going to recover for a start, and he won't be performing in that flow state. The flow state is very big for what I do with athletes. The flow state is operating in that front part of the brain, the intellectual part of the brain, where, you know, the subconscious mind's just performing. It's like autopilot. You think about it, the boxer that knocks someone out with that left hook, he doesn't even know he's thrown. You know, the darts player that hits that 180 without even realising it. The part of the brain that where all the skills and resources are, but you just need to hit it at the right time. Because the only thing that slows that down is anxiety. It slows your speed of thought down. So if you're religiously training your brain and training your mind and your brain's processing effectively, your sleep will be really good. Because your sleep's really good, you'll be accessing that REM state accordingly, and you'll be recovering quicker as well. So this isn't just, as I say, about the mindset, it's about the body and mind, really. It's about ensuring them little knocks heal quickly. It's about ensuring that, as I say, he's dealing with things, he's perhaps interacting with kids in a positive way. He's interacting with fans in a positive way. He's going into every session focused and sharp with very low anxiety levels because his brain's working as it should do.
Yeah.
And someone like Tom is one of the most, as I say, such an elite athlete. He's on another level he wants to be the very best, and it's all about them fine margins.
So you've done a lot of work with Modestas Bukauskas.
Yes.
Talk to me a little bit about what that looks like with him.
Modestas, another, just like Tom, absolute elite athlete, and he wants to be the very best he can be. And he wanted to come to me so we could work on the flow state with him, so we could get him performing at a high level without having to think about it subconsciously. Get him to do things that he does in the gym, in the octagon, in that flow state. So his speed of thought so much quicker.
Okay, and that is because of the bucket emptying that you referred to.
Yeah, I mean, it's a happy fighter is a dangerous fighter, right? And that's the same with the principles that I use. So first and foremost, it's all about general well-being, sleeping properly, low anxiety levels, and that carries forward then into the training, you see, because they're recovering properly, they're feeling confident. We do a lot of work on confidence, positivity, focus, stuff like that.
Yeah, it's so important for a fighter, isn't it? Like that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to become a fighter. Initially, when I started training, I wanted to become a fighter because it looks cool, right? Yeah. There's a few factors, but one of the factors was the mental side of it. I competed a couple of times and I struggled so much with it. And it was that overwhelming feeling of, for me personally, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if this happens? And none of the thoughts I was having were positive.
Yeah.
They were all, what if I get hit in this way? Like, what if I get injured? What if this goes wrong? But if I could have flipped that, and if I could do some mental work, like you say, the impact that it could have, I can imagine it would be phenomenal.
Yeah, because what you're saying there to me is that you were going in there with a full bucket, because let's remember, negative thinking fills the bucket up. And negative thinking leads to anxiety. And if you're going into an octagon or a ring or a box or whatever you're doing, all tense with high anxiety levels, you're just going to be stiff and tense. You're not going to be able to perform in that flow state. You're going to be overthinking things. You're going to be in a state of anxiety when you go in, so you're never going to perform at your very best.
You can't completely shut out the negative thoughts, though, right?
No, absolutely. And anxiety is one of the most powerful tools you've got if you use it in the correct way.
Okay.
And that sounds crazy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
So anxiety is like fire. If you use fire in the right way, you can cook and heat your home, can't you? Use it in the wrong way, it'll burn your house down and everything around it. It's very destructive. The same as anxiety. And the therapy that I do with my clients, it allows them how to manage their anxiety in a positive way subconsciously, like autopilot. So if you just deal with things, rather than overthink them.
Okay, so you just, it sounds like you take a little bit more of a, instead of letting the anxiety completely take control, you accept that it's there.
We use it to their advantage.
And you manage it.
Yeah, it turns from a weakness into a strength.
Okay, yeah.
Because anxiety, let's get what anxiety is. It's a energy in the body and mind that's part of our fight or flight system, which goes back millions of years. So it's all about using it correctly. Because our brain has never really changed since the caveman days. And we've got two parts of it. We've got the front part where the flow state lives, the intellectual part of the brain that only human beings have, the bit that we're using to get things right in life, positivity, confident, focus. Then we've got the other part of the brain, where that fight or flight response lives. So it works on patterns of behaviours, drives and instincts. The part of the brain where inappropriate behavioural experience and patterns are stored. The part of the brain that regulates the chemical response in the body and mind. Stress hormones, cortisol, adrenaline, all that type of thing. Again, key factors for a fighter, really.
Yeah.
If used in the right way.
What's one simple trick that you could give to, say someone is struggling mentally with competition, right? What's a simple trick that you could give that person to help them?
A simple trick is basically I do a lot of visualization with my clients, especially elite athletes. I do a lot of positive reframing. They can do it on the couch here in the sessions, or they can do it at home. And it's all about wanting to basically they need to identify that task they want to improve, perform, and perfect, and get them to run it through in a positive way of how they want to perform, because the brain does not know the difference between imagination and reality. So you can work with a client on the couch and they can visualize that event or task they want to improve, perform, and perfect, and the brain won't know the difference. But what happens when they're in trance is the amygdala's not stimulated and they're in that relaxed state. So the brain accepts it as normal. So when they come into competition, the brain's been there a million times in trance already, so it just does it when they fight. There's been all sorts of studies done about it. Right. Visualization, it's a very powerful tool.
Yeah. This is something I want to come on to anyway, but it seems like if you're not open to that working, it won't work.
No.
Because I've tried it before.
Yeah. And a lot of people that try and visualize are unable to do so because they've not done the fundamentals to start with. The brain's already overwhelmed, their anxiety levels are really high, and they're operating that primitive side of the brain. And that primitive side of the brain doesn't want you to relax. That primitive side of the brain is very vigilant, isn't it?
And that's there to protect you?
Exactly. And it won't let you switch off and visualize stuff.
Right. So you're almost like you are fighting against your biology.
Yeah. And you just find that you can't do it.
Yeah.
But when that bucket's nice and emptied and your anxiety levels are very low and you're in, say, a trance state, it's so much easier to do. So
correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like what you're saying is you can use hypnotherapy as a way to fight against your natural biology.
No, we don't. We never fight against anything. We work with how the brain works.
Okay.
We process. We tap into the brain's natural ability to process information and thoughts, feelings, and emotions. So we work with the brain, but then we make behavioural changes using that solution-focused approach. So if I started work with an athlete, for example, I'd never start day one doing visualization stuff because their brain would be like, what the hell are you doing to me? What's going on here? Because it wouldn't be relaxed. It wouldn't be in that state where you could do it. Imagine a brain like plasticine or something. You need to get it nice and soft and loose before you do the work. It's the same.
Okay.
Because anxiety dampens everything down, you see.
Yeah.
Anxiety clouds everything.
Okay. And does that take... Your first session with someone, is that more about like warming them up to the idea of what you're trying to eventually get across longer term? What does that look like?
Well, it's quite prescribed what we do. We do an initial consultation, which is more an opportunity to meet the person and find out how you can help them and what they'd want to achieve, get a bit of medical history, explain about the brain, and then we give them the track for a week to listen to. So in that week of the consultation and coming to the first session, the brain will already start processing a bit more effectively. So when we do the first trance session, then the brain's already used to it a little bit.
Okay.
But with visualization, you do that during the trance session, but you can't do it until that bucket's emptied.
So you have to be opened up and that bucket to be emptied before you can start doing the visualization.
Yes.
That's where I've struggled with visualization in the past.
Yeah.
Is that I'm trying to do it whilst I'm whilst my brain's full.
Yeah.
And it's not getting in because there's already these negative thoughts.
Because your brain's already overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You know, your brain's already overwhelmed and it struggles to sort of visualize when it's overwhelmed. The brain doesn't know the difference between imagination and reality, as I mentioned earlier, and you can sort of perfect any technique through visualization. And then when you come to do it in real life, it's already there because your brain's already been there. You're developing what we call neural pathways in the brain, positive neural pathways. So essentially through this therapy, you're rewiring the way someone thinks, feels and acts. You must have heard that saying, rewire your brain.
Yeah.
That's what this therapy helps you do.
Literally rewiring
your brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's neural pathways that might be weakened over time. You can replace them with positive pathways. So your brain, the front part of your brain is like any other part of your body. It can be trained. So if you go to a gym today and you lift dumbbells, you're developing your biceps, aren't you? The muscle fibers in your biceps. Well, you've got the equivalent in your brain. They're just called neural pathways. And over time, through repetition and consistency, they can be developed. And what they've established is that through hypnosis, because your brain's so relaxed, they're the best conditions for the brain to develop and to be rewired.
Talk to me about the impact that alcohol can have on sleep. And then also, I want to move it into talking about how it can impact what you're trying to do with a client.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the sleep portion first, though, because I feel like that relates quite well.
Alcohol's got a massive impact on how someone sleeps. It's like pickling your brain, really, drinking alcohol, because it affects your REM state. I've not really drank in life, but when I did many years ago, what I remember from it is that you'd either wake up feeling really anxious on edge, or you'd be low in mood all day. There's a medical reason why that happens. It's because it slows down the REM state. It affects your REM state. It affects your brain's ability to process. Again, this contributes to anxiety. So if you're an athlete, or you're anyone in any walk of life, drinking alcohol is going to set you back, because it's going to result in your brain slowing down and your anxiety levels going up.
Yeah, I literally one time sat down and listed off on my notes the pros of drinking alcohol and the cons of drinking alcohol. And the only pro that I came to notice was that it can make your night a little bit more fun for about a 2 or 3 hour period.
Yeah.
That's it. Everything else is just unbelievably negative impacts, which is quite scary, especially when you look at how regularly a lot of our nation drinks. I feel like in the UK it's so common, and it's an unbelievably scary thought to be like, well, you are trading 2 or 3 hours of slightly more heightened fun for so many negative impacts, not only like physical but mental as well.
My experience, for an athlete, it's going to set them back days and days and days a night out drinking, because it'll take the brain that long to get back into sync again and processing properly. And if the bucket's already full in the first place and they're anxious to start with, it's just going to compound it. I work a lot with darts players, and the culture in darts is to drink a lot. And I specialise in a mental block called dartitis. And what you find is 9 out of 10 people that suffer with dartitis are heavy drinkers. And it's through the brain being sluggish and not processing properly through dreaming and the sleep being so poor that their anxiety levels go up and that they get this mental block.
So what is dartitis? Like, what is that?
It's a mental block for a darts player. It's the old form of yips. It's a complex form of anxiety, basically. It's where someone's lost intellectual control because they're very anxious, what I explained before, and they've moved from the front part of the brain into the back part of the brain, and they're operating from that part of the brain. And when they go up to the hockey and they go to try and throw a dart, they can't release the dart. And what they find is that the more we do it, the more the brain creates a pattern of behaviour associated with it. So it becomes a pattern of behaviour. And because the brain's already overwhelmed, and because they're not processing because they're overdoing the REM state, that pattern of behaviour gets stuck, you see.
It seems like a lot of what you're saying kind of all links back to a lot of the same thing.
Yeah.
Which a lot of it seems centred around the REM state.
Yeah.
And blocking being able to access that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Is that like the majority of what you work on?
80% of it, I'd say.
Right. Yeah.
It's a massive part of it. Because if you're not accessing the REM state properly, you're not sleeping properly. If you're not sleeping properly, your anxiety levels will go up. If your anxiety levels go up, you will sooner or later access that stress response, which is the fight or flight response, and you will be operating in a part of the brain that's more associated to living as a caveman than living a happy, healthy, positive lifestyle.
What is the biggest or most positive shift that you've been able to help someone make?
I've helped someone come off heroin completely in 15 sessions.
Wow.
A bloke who came to see me, and it was a Monday morning, and he sat on the couch and said, I think I'm going to kill myself and someone else. And I thought, that's the last thing I need on a Monday morning, because obviously I've got a duty to care. But I pressed him and said, how can I help? He said, look, I've got my own business. It's in the building industry, scaffolding. Every day before I go to work, I'm off my head with drugs, and I'm driving people, and I'm going up the scaffolding off my head on heroin. I'm really scared. I'm going to kill myself or call someone else. And I helped that person get to where we need to get to, which was coming off the drugs completely and cutting alcohol out as well. Because the principles are exactly the same. It doesn't matter if it's alcohol, chocolate, they're pretty much the same. Drugs, they're pretty much the same, the principles.
How do you, is it like a pattern interrupter type thing? Because say, for example, like any time I've became addicted to anything, whether it be buying a certain chocolate bar in a shop or something small, you know, it tends to be there's like a little pattern as to what leads me to doing that.
Well, the pattern of behaviour is created because you usually get a chemical response from it in the brain, the hypothalamus, the same part that's in the primitive part, and you get a chemical response, and a lot of people are substituting the serotonin they should be producing, the nice happy feel good chemical that lasts for weeks and weeks, with the short up and down chemical dopamine. Dopamine's the reward chemical, you see. And the way to get serotonin is by acting within certain positive parameters, basically thinking in a positive way, interacting with other people in a positive way, and being active as well. But what you find is people that, for example, I've got addictions like that, they're not producing that serotonin as they should be. And they're basically building a pattern of behaviour up because they get rewarded by the dopamine chemical instead.
And is that from a more short-term option, like taking drugs?
Yeah.
Or?
So any form of addiction, again, is created through anxiety. Because the brain builds it up as a pattern of behaviour it associates with survival. You think about it, when our primitive brain was about many millions of years ago when it was formed, didn't know what heroin was, didn't know what alcohol was, didn't know what chocolate was, didn't know what gambling was. So you're expecting it to deal with them issues, and it doesn't know what they are.
So it just deals with it in its natural...
Yeah. And it builds it up as patterns of survival.
So when you get that guy coming to you and saying that, what is the very first step? Is it, again, back to like the bucket emptying thing?
Bucket emptying, get him to sleep properly, get him to process properly, and rewiring his brain effectively through the neural pathways, developing them neural pathways, both through coming to the sessions and doing the sessions with me, sort of making him accountable as well, getting him to work on little areas of his life he wants to improve, because that's what this therapy is all about. It's solution-focused therapy. It's all about getting a person to identify a strength and to build on it. We're not really interested in why he's taking heroin. What we're interested in is him coming off it and living his best life.
And I guess also it's not... one of the dangers, I guess, with maybe what we're saying is it could sound like that is the thing that has fixed it. There is also surely still that element of like self-discipline and working hard to actually kick that addiction.
Yeah, but when we're in a part of the brain that's there for survival, it's very erratic, it's very irrational, it's impulsive. It thinks it's surviving. It doesn't realise the damage or what you're actually doing.
Yeah, because like you say,
you're working on it, it's like instinctual, it's like you're working on a drive.
Yeah, that part of the brain itself isn't thinking, oh, this is heroin, this is bad.
Yeah.
It's just thinking,
it's getting rewarded, so I want a bit more of that, please.
Yeah.
You know. So when people say about drinking, alcoholics and drug addicts, my mindset has completely shifted through doing this. I actually think it is an illness. In fact, I know it is.
Being an alcoholic?
Yeah, it's an illness.
Okay.
It's 100% an illness.
Can you explain why?
Because it's created through their own mental health and their own mental well-being be very poor. Because anxiety exasperates these habits. Okay, they make poor choices, but they've made poor choices because they're in a position where they're not thinking and acting rationally anyway. So let's go back to the start. Negative thoughts, feelings and emotions in any sort of aspect or guise are what cause anxiety. So if they've lost a parent, or they've lost a loved one, or they've lost their own business through gambling, or something tragic in their life's happened, that's going to contribute to where they end up.
But is that not then situational instead of...
Yeah, and it's how they cope with them situations, but people that are highly anxious don't cope with situations very well.
Right, okay. And are some people more naturally highly anxious than others, or would you say it's just a pure management of that?
Well, if the bucket's empty, their anxiety levels will be manageable.
Yeah.
But a lot of people that I work with are very high, have got high function anxiety. They're very, very anxious and don't realise it until it's too late. Maybe they're walking through Tesco and they have a panic attack and you think, why the hell's that happened? We hear that all the time, don't we? That's the fight or flight response being activated, you see.
Okay, yeah. So taking it back to the alcoholism being an illness, if it's a situation that has led them to that, like you were saying, separation from a wife, or
it's life choices.
So is that then? Yeah. So that's kind of what I'm trying to make the point of. Is it?
But some of it might be out of their control. For example, imagine if you were a builder and you had an accident or something happened to you, completely out of your control, and you lost a limb or two limbs, whatever, and you couldn't do it anymore, or you're paralysed. The trauma from that could build up and cause that from happening further down the line. Because what would happen is negative thinking would cause that anxiety to occur later down the line, which would trigger the abuse.
Yeah. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I guess the part that I'm struggling with is it being an illness itself versus it being more of a situational thing, which either way it's not great.
I think you can flip it both ways, can't you?
Yeah.
When it comes down to it, it is through poor life choices, but the reason them poor life choices are being made are basically through things happening. But as I say, illnesses can go through situations as well, can't they?
Yeah, of course.
You know, you can flip it whichever way, really.
Yeah, and ultimately it doesn't really matter either way. It's still not a situation you want to be in, you know.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone who is considering either hypnotherapy or any kind of therapy, but maybe not quite pushing themselves to do it?
Okay, so you've got to want to make change in your life for hypnotherapy to work. You've got to believe in it like anything else in life. It's not a magic show. It's accessing, for example, hypnosis has been around thousands of years. It's accessing something that will take you where you need to get to, what will help you make them positive change in your life. But you've got to be open to change. Often a lot of people come and see me when it's too late, when they've actually lost intellectual control and they're in such a state of panic, or, you know, their life's massively affected by anxiety or depression or anger issues. I would encourage anyone and everyone to do this therapy because it'll help improve everyone that does it. Because the very nature of it is to get you to the best place you can be, mentally and physically, really.
What is a block that you see people having to start? Like, you're talking about the willingness to do it. Why do you think people aren't willing sometimes?
Lack of understanding, really. I don't know what it is. They think it's like stage hypnosis, doing crazy things. Skepticism, get a lot of skepticism as well. You get people that are so anxious that they struggle to relax, basically. They struggle to get into it. Get that quite a bit.
Okay.
But they've got to want to do it. They've got to want to make the change. They've got to want to commit.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. Like, especially with the relaxed state that you're talking about. Like, it takes me a long time to get to like a really relaxed point where I feel like I can fall to sleep, for example. So I can imagine if someone's really not wanting to be there, or maybe just a bit like not believing in it, it can be very difficult for you to get them to that point.
You've definitely got to believe in it. You've definitely got to want to sort of do it for it to be effective. You can't make someone do something you don't want to do. I can, best way in the world, I can get someone in a state of trance or take them through the process, but if they're saying, I'm not going to shut my eyes here, I'm not going to relax, it's not going to work. You've got to want to do it. You've got to want to make the change in your life. You've got to want to become a better person or to improve yourself for it to work.
I guess that kind of links in well with particularly MMA athletes, because you tend to find that MMA athletes at a level that isn't more than just a hobbyist are very dedicated to improving themselves anyway, because of the nature of the sport. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, and it's a very disciplined sort of lifestyle. So this can help with, for example, weight making.
Okay.
From the recovery side of it, because it is a body and mind therapy, but also allowing to make good, positive choices through the lifestyle. So they're eating the right things at the right time. They're getting the sleep at the right time.
Yeah, and I guess it's that once you get the ball rolling, anyone who's ever gone on any self-improvement journey knows that the hardest part is that initial getting the ball rolling.
Getting things moving. And it differs with different people. Some people come in here and they think they'll do 1 or 2 sessions and that's it. And it doesn't work like that. The brain doesn't work like that. Remember, that bucket needs emptying, and that bucket needs emptying over a period of a few weeks. And it's only through emptying that bucket effectively that the real change starts to happen. Because I'm a psychotherapist. What I do is about making long-term behavioural changes to address the issues of why they come to see me in the first place.
How long is it different for each person in terms of how long it takes for them to really start seeing results from it?
Well, I've had kids come to me with mental blocks, and I've had them sorted in 2 or 3 sessions, but they've still carried on and done 8 sessions because they've wanted to reinforce it. I've had people that have come to me for 6-7 weeks, and only then the pennies start to drop. What I say to the clients is, you'll have a light bulb moment. Something will just click in your mind. For example, I had a client the other night who had a phobia about driving through tunnels, and he couldn't do it, just couldn't do it. And we were at this bit of a sticking point where his anxiety levels came down, his sleep massively improved, other aspects of his life had improved as well, but he was still struggling with this aspect of driving through a tunnel. And he went to the cinema, he was telling me, to watch a Pink Floyd tribute or something that was on for one night. And he decided to come back through the tunnel. And he drove through the tunnel and he didn't think about it.
So
he's done it since, and it just clicked.
So he drove through it without thinking about it beforehand?
After. He drove back on the way back, just drove through. And he's done it since, and the block's gone now.
Yes, that's what I mean. Did he drive through? Did he plan to drive through there, or did he?
He thought I'd do it on the way back to see how it goes.
Okay, right.
And he just did it. And
so it was an active choice that he made to go through there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You spoke about how you've helped kids, and after like 2 sessions, it just sort of clicks for them. Yeah. Would you say it's easier to work on that side of things with kids whilst their brain is still growing and learning?
Yeah. So the first year of the kid's life is the most important, really, for developing the neural pathways. Neural pathways are decided through habits, traumas, environments, etc. So I work with kids that are really volatile and having trouble at school, not going to school and stuff. And what they say is that his brain never developed properly. And what the parent means there is the first year of their life, there was a bit of trauma there, and it basically has a knock-on effect then for the rest of their life.
Right.
Up to that point.
Yeah.
But the beauty of neuroplasticity and developing neural pathways, it's like training any muscle. You can train at any time and develop at any time. I work with a lot of kids with ADHD and autism, and ADHD autism is a superpower if used in the right way. Again, it's dictated to by anxiety levels. If they're using their anxiety levels in the correct way, autism, you can achieve anything through that.
Yeah, you
It
see
really
a lot.
is.
You see a lot of
it's-
top athletes, particularly in like jiu-jitsu
Yeah.
and MMA,
Oh, yeah.
who are autistic.
The most highly successful people in the world are on the periphery of something, on the spectrum.
Elon Musk.
It's about 100%.
Yeah.
It's an absolute blessing.
Would you say it's because it's a slightly obsessive nature?
You've got to be obsessed, haven't you?
Yeah.
To be the very best at your sport, you've got to be obsessed. If
Yeah.
you're not obsessed, you're gonna get found out.
Yeah.
Especially in a sport where it's just you against your opponent.
Hmm.
Like a combat sport, boxing, UFC, MMA, whatever it is.
But it's not even just in sports. Like obviously in combat sports where there's like real dire consequences, it kind of shines through a bit more.
Yeah.
But it's anything, isn't it? You know, it's
I mean, I remember Mike Tyson years ago getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning, running every morning. Yeah. You'd have to be obsessed to do that.
yeah, that's
And you'd have to have that degree. Marvin Hagler, you've got to have that degree of and that drive to want to be the very best in the world, haven't you, at what you do?
yeah, of course.
And you've got to be obsessed, in my opinion, to do that.
Yeah. What is a misconception of either hypnotherapy or therapy that you see that you think is maybe stopping people from starting?
I think there's a stigma still there, isn't there? Especially males. And my therapy, I liken myself to sort of like a mind PT. That's what I am, a mind PT. You go with gym and you train your body, well, you come in here and you train your mind to be the very best you can be. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think the most underrated aspect of any sports person, though, is they don't realise how important it is to train your mind. It controls everything. You can be the best athlete in the world in the gym, but if you can't control them nerves on fight night or whatever you're doing on the event night or whatever, you're never going to be the best, are you? It's all about performing in a highly pressured situation and carrying out and executing what you know, what you're capable of doing.
Yeah.
And hypnotherapy will help you do that.
Awesome.
And that's the same with anyone in any walk of life.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, like that's being able to perform under pressure is so important. Like if you can't do that, you're probably not going to be successful in your chosen field.
I mean, the beauty of this therapy as well, from a solution focused point of view, is that we don't talk about the past.
Okay.
We're not interested in the past. What we're interested in is solutions and getting you where you need to get to.
Is the reason you don't talk about the past because you can't change that?
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
We can talk positive about the past, but why go over problems? Because it's happened. We can't change it, but we can change the future.
Yeah, and that's a really simple, like, I tend to notice in people who are like very, what would the right word be? Stressed and erratic and struggle to cope with just general reality of day-to-day life. It tends to be because they are usually focusing on problems that they can't actually control.
Because the bucket's full.
Yeah.
The brain's overwhelmed and you don't even realise it. They don't actually realise that they're operating in a part of the brain that's associated with a fight or flight.
Yeah, like a really good example is like my mum.
Yeah.
Sorry, mum.
Give them a number, she can come and see me.
But usually, like, there's a lot of times where I'll be having a stressful situation and she will get very stressed out about my situation.
We can mirror, can't you? Anxiety can be mirrored.
And I'm like, you stressing about my situation is super doubly unhelpful.
Yeah.
Because I can't control the situation, but I also can't control you stressing about the situation.
Do you want me to tell you the most destructive thing for a person? Worrying. Because worrying just causes anxiety. And anxiety obviously triggers, but everyone's a worrier. Everyone worries about everything. If they can't control it, they'll worry about it. But this therapy will help you deal with things better so you're not worrying about things.
Yeah.
That's the secret.
And it's such a simple way of looking at it.
Yeah.
I think
it's a simple concept, really. It's backed by, what we do is backed by neuroscience. You know, it works. We work with how the brain works because for many years, people have used the Sigmund Freud method where you'll go into the problem and analyse the problem. But what you find is that doesn't create solutions. It just creates bigger problems.
Right.
We just concentrate on solutions. Everything's about getting somewhere we need to get to.
Awesome. Well, Chris, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you very much. Cheers. Thank you very much, Bob. Cheers.